one of the areas that we've talked about upgrading come trade deadline, which is still a few weeks away, a wing that can play defense and shoot. So there's a rumored trade option with a three-way trade that would get Malik Beasley to the Cavs, John Collins to Utah, Caris LeVert to the Hawks. Your thoughts on that? Is that something that you think the Cavs are seriously considering? Would it be a huge upgrade for them?
I don't think it would be a huge upgrade for him, Dave, but I do think it would be acquiring a better fitting player than Caris LeVert. And I think the Cavs have to ask themselves over the next 2-3 weeks just how much value Caris brings to the table on the court. And I think we understand the things that he can do. But at the time that the Cavs traded for him, which was last season, Ricky Rubio was injured and then traded in that same deal, and Colin Sexton was out for the year. So the Cavs were looking for something specifically from a stylistic standpoint. They needed a little bit of playmaking and they needed a little bit of scoring. They needed somebody to take the pressure off of Darius Garland in those two areas. The status quo has changed. The things that Caris does great, the Cavs don't need as much anymore. And Caris has been trying to find his place within this team. Starter, coming off the bench, ball in his hands, off the ball, defensive stopper, offensive isolation guy. And at some point, the Cavs have to determine, because he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. He's on an expiring contract. So at some point in the next couple of weeks, the Cavs have to ask themselves, do we have enough of the things that Caris brings to the table that we like already? Or would we be better finding the things that we don't like about him and seeing if some other player out there can bring those to our organization, whether it's Malik Beasley, whether it's Tim Hardaway Jr., a guy that I've reported on the Cavs having interest in, whether it's Bojan Bogdanovic of the Detroit Pistons, another guy that the Cavs have interest in. You name the player. If the Cavs are going to move Caris LeVert, I don't know that they're going to get a better player, period. I don't know that they're going to get a more talented player, but they could get a better fitting player that does the things that Caris doesn't do. And that means shooting from the outside. That means catch and shoot. That means movement without the ball. And if the Cavs decide, like, that is what we need more of on this team, then I could see them moving Caris LeVert. But they're just not going to move him for anybody. And I don't think they're going to move him just to make a move. They like Caris. They like the things that he brings to the table. They understand some of the value that he brings. JB Bickerstaff clearly trusts him. And he has found a place looking a little bit better as the sixth man as opposed to the fifth starter. So the other thing to consider here, Dave, is Caris is probably the most valuable trade piece that they have. So if they're going to tap into that, they better get a player that is going to be like one of the 5, 6, 7 most important players for their playoff push in the second half of the season and for a 7-game series when they get to the playoffs. That's something they have to consider because they cannot, by rule, they cannot offer a first-round pick because they've given them all away.